I woke up today and bumped into a question that was asking a student to get the values of theta. In as far as this topic called trigonometric function is concerned. Of course, we have trigonometry 1 that majorly covers areas such as the cos, the sine, and the tan. Yeah, and of course, you have to actually bump into something else called the trigonometry 2 that covers mostly the cosine rule and the sine rule. And we have trigonometry that actually maximizes on the use of what we call the unit cycle. And there's something called SOHCAHTOA, where you're supposed to actually know that sine is equals to opposite over hypotenuse, then cos is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse, then tan is equals to opposite over adjacent. So there's a question here that I want us to use to be able to see what you're supposed to get as the answer when that question gets worked out by any mathematician. So the question that had been given was reading as this: 4 cos x squared, then we had a dot here, then we had sine x minus 2 sine. Okay, I think you can be able to see the question well. Minus 2 sine x squared is equal to 3 sine x. So that is the question I actually got from a student, and the question is asking us to get the values of x in terms of theta. And I've told you this topic is called trigonometry. So such a question demands that you're supposed to actually understand all the concepts revolving around this topic. In terms of the concepts taught in trigonometry 1, concepts introduced to you in trigonometry 2, and all the areas that are covered in trigonometry 3. So if this question is to be obtained, we are supposed first to ensure that you have to move all these aspects onto one side of the equal sign. And that means you are going to move this part on this other side first. You are going to have now 4 cos x squared, then dot sine x, or combined with sine x, less 2 sine x squared, then minus 3 sine x. It must be equal to 0. Correct. Now, if you look at this equation very well, you'll realize that sine is common. There is sine here, there is sine here, there is sine here. So you can factorize out sine, then you can have sine x into, so you shall be left with cos, then cos x squared. So sine has been factorized out. So on this part, sine is factorized out. You're left with cos x squared, then 4. And we shall say less, we factorize out one sine and this sine x squared. So we shall be left with 2 sine x. So that sine x and sine x can give you sine x squared. So sine x times 4 cos squared x, we shall have 4 cos x squared. Then sine x times 2 sine x, we shall have 2 sine squared x. Then we shall say minus, we have factored out sine x here, we shall be left with 3. That must be equal to 0. Yeah. In mathematics, that is what we always do. So next, we shall be able to drop the sine x, because this means sine x can be equal to 0. Or again, you can be able to say 4 cos x squared minus 2 sine x minus 3. The answer must be equal to 0. So sine inverse of 0, I think that cannot even just give us anything. So sine inverse of 0 is just 0. So here it means x is equals to 0 degrees. So that can be our most possible value of x. We shall proceed. So the first part, so we shall say sine x is equals to 0. You've gotten the sine inverse of x, and the sine inverse of 0 for us to get x is 0. and of course theta cannot be 0. So we can proceed to the next part. We have 4 cos x squared minus 2 sin x minus 3 is equals to 0. So then we shall employ this rule which says cos x squared plus sin x squared must be equal to 1. So we want to substitute this part that has cos x squared by a particular equation here. How? Let's take sin x squared on this side. So we shall be left with cos x squared should be equal to 1 minus sin x squared. So we shall go back to our equation here. That can probably give us the value of x. And where there's cos x squared, we shall replace it with 1 minus sin x squared. So let's rewrite 4 into, instead of writing cos x squared, we shall write 1 minus sin x squared, then minus 2 sin x minus 3. The answer must be equal to 0. Okay, so next let's open the bracket. So 4 minus 4 sin squared x, because 4 times 1, 4. 4 times sin squared x, 4 sin squared x. And then we shall say less 2 sin x minus 3 is equals to 0. Let's collect the like terms. Minus 4 sin squared x minus 2 sin x minus 3, then plus 4 must be equal to 0. So these are numerals with no sign. So minus 3 and then plus 4. Assuming there's a positive sign here. So minus 3 plus 4. So the next is minus 4 sin squared x minus 2 sin x plus 1 is equals to 0. So we can actually remove this negative here by multiplying all through by a negative. So times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Negative and negative can give you positive. So we shall have 4 sin x squared plus negative and negative. So it will be 2 sin x, then minus 1 is equals to 0. We do not know what x is exactly in this case. So you can decide to say, because you have the same trigonometric function, you shall be able to say let, okay, sin x be y. This is something very, very important for us to actually use. So you shall come here and say now 4. So you've said sin x is also sin squared x will be y squared. If sin x is y, what about sin squared x will be y squared? So 4y squared plus 2y, that is sin x, minus 1 is equals to 0. That is a quadratic equation that needs to be solved. So we can start solving this equation quadratically. So we can use the completing square method or the quadratic formula. So let's see, 4y squared plus 2y minus 1 is equals to 0. We can divide all through by 4 to make the coefficient of y squared to be 0, or to be able to actually give us a 1. So we shall have y squared plus a half y minus a quarter is equals to 0. Let's take now the constant on the other side of the equal sign, because we have made a or the coefficient of y squared to be 1. So we'll have 1y squared plus a half y is equals to a quarter. Let's use this aspect. We always say b over 2 squared whenever completing square method is used. So we shall have y squared, okay, plus a half divided by 2 squared, because this becomes our b. So we take that b, we divide by 2, then we square. Should be equal to a quarter plus a half divided by 2 also squared. Whenever we introduce this aspect of b over 2 squared, it's actually advisable to drop that letter that accompanies that coefficient picked as b. So we shall have y squared plus 1 over 4 squared. Of course, a half divided by 2 is a quarter. Should be equal to 1 over 4. You can completely work out this. You can be able to get 1 over 16. Okay, that is it. So we can proceed, so you can be able to get the answer. Very correct. So we are going to have y plus a quarter, okay, should be equal to 0.32 0.3025, I think. Let me check. So 1 over 4 plus 1 over 16, 0.3125. 3125. Okay. Wow, so we shall introduce a square root on both sides. So y plus a quarter should be equal to let's see, the square root of this answer. It should be something like 0.5. So square root of the answer 0.5590. So 0.5590. It's either positive or a negative. So plus or minus. Shall take a quarter on this side so that y can either be, so we shall say plus 0.5590 minus, because this turns out to be minus after it actually transferred to this other side of the equal sign. So it will be this, so minus 0.25. So it can either be 0.3092, or y can also be, so you can take it to be negative. So negative 0.55. So you can either use positive or negative way to get the two values of y. Minus 0.5590, then minus 0.25. That gives us minus 0.8090. So those can be the two possible values of y. But now we need to get the value of x and not y. We shall come here and say sine x, we said it's supposed to be y. So sine x is equals to, and our first y is 0.3092. So to just get the sine inverse for us to get x. So shift and then sine of 0.3092. So 18 degrees. Because it's 18.00000. It's just 18 degrees. Okay, we can decide to say sine x is equals to y. So sine x is equals to, what is the other y? Minus 0.8090. So that means the other value you're going to get must either be found in the third quadrant or fourth quadrant, because it has a negative. But the first value of x is found in the first quadrant, which is actually a positive value. So its sign is positive. But whenever the sign of a particular value is negative, that means it has to get found in the third or fourth quadrant of a unit circle. So shift and then sign of negative 0.8090. So that gives us negative 3 point that. So that is, let's see. So the sign, so that will be sign. So shift then sign of 0.8090. So the answer we have shown is actually x is equals to negative. Let me see. So that is just the same as 54. So possibly our answer is supposed to be x is equals to 18 degrees. And that can satisfy that equation if substituted in terms of where we have x in the equation.